Welcome my friend and fellow scribe to the Writer's Mindscape. I'm Tim Green, I write under the pen name TimRG, and this is bad writing advice. Bad writing advice. If you're not familiar with what this video is going to be, is I take common writing advice that someone somewhere on the net has said it's bad, and we look at it to determine if it's true. So today, we will be looking at the potential bad writing advice of, let me check my notes because I kind of forgot. Show, don't tell. What the f? Show, don't tell? Really? Really? Okay, show, don't tell it is. Let's start off with some definitions of show and tell with an example of each. Show. Create a visual of what is going on using emotion and senses. Detail. Example. The alarm blared across the room. Jack flipped over on his side, pressed his hands over his ears. Maybe, if he ignored it, the alarm would shut off on its own. All he had to do was get up, shut it off, and jump back into bed. But just thinking of the effort of rolling over onto his side, pulling the covers off, feeling that chilled air, trudging the endless void to his dresser, and back. No, it was much easier to stay put. Tell. Explain what happened. Short. Example. Jack refused to get out of bed to turn off his alarm. Out of those two examples, which one is better? Which one would you prefer? Don't answer that. We're not going to answer that just yet. Keep thinking about it. We'll come back to it later in this video. Now let's look at what people are saying online about show don't tell and why it's potentially bad writing advice. Sure, hot tears, a pounding pulse, and clenched fists can stand for sadness, fear, anger, but that type of showing can not only become cartoony, it doesn't actually show what the specific character is specifically feeling. In order to do that, you either have to rely on thought process giving rise to these emotions, or you should have already set up some key bits of exposition. No. Those are some bold claims from Susan. Now, we will come back to the whole cartoony element of her post here about a clenched fist, a pounding heart, and hot tears later. Let's focus right now on what Susan said about using this kind of writing still requires key exposition to be set up beforehand or internal thought processes to justify why they're feeling that. My question is, what if you're trying to show a non-point of view character where you cannot dive into the character's head?
You're not going to do that.
And here's an example of this. You're writing a book where one POV character, so the main character is the only point of view we'll ever see in the book. Now we get into a scene where he's meeting with his generals to go over battle plans for an invasion or something like that. It's a pretty key, calm meeting, but suddenly in the middle of this meeting, one of the generals slams his fist down on the table, shouts something incoherently, and then storms out, slamming the door. What does that tell you about this general? He's pissed off, and it changes the tone of the meeting for everyone else because we don't know why he's angry all of a sudden or what set him off. We don't know why this general is mad, angry, furious, and that is what we're going for. But according to Susan, we need to go into his head or set up key exposition to justify that. No, we don't want to know. It's part of a mystery. But Susan's not alone in her quote here. In my search, I found an article on a personal blog. Unfortunately, I did not save it. By the time I found it again, I'm pretty sure it was deleted. On this blog post, the guy lays out similar arguments to Susan and far worse. In the comments, many people agreed with him, which was scary because he was completely wrong about show don't tell. The few people who refuted his claims didn't spark a debate in the people who supported the claims made in the post or the original poster. No, they shut it down. They had no counterpoints to the arguments made, so they just shut down the debate. Well, that's my take on it. Now here's another article I did save from medium.com. It's written by Benjuna. Yeah, I'm not gonna pronounce that. I'll butcher it, like I'll slaughter it. So it's on screen so you can see that. She had this to say. This one is terrible and almost inevitable. This is exclusive province of bad writers giving bad advice, usually to writers equally bad or worse.
Specifically, you would get someone suggesting you can't just say a character is angry, you've got to show him. It's frequently in him. Banging his fist on the table, scrunching his face up, screaming, "No!" at the top of his lungs. Really? Really? In another word, proponents of show don't tell want you to linger on every mundane, trivial detail. You can't just tell your character has messy hair. You have to do the above. The above is pretty bad writing. But even as aside from that, you really have to question, is the character's hair and its condition somehow crucial? Is it necessary to describe in minute detail a character taking a milk carton out of the fridge, pouring it into a glass, and then drinking the milk? Remember, use all the senses. Harp on the texture of the glass in the hand and smell of the milk. Do we really need to show them going to the toilet too? What does any of this add to the text, if anything?
I would love to know where people think show don't tell means you show every detail, because it's never meant that. But according to Susan, Benjuna, and others, that's exactly what show don't tell means. You linger on every lasting detail, regardless of its importance. Can you imagine an entire novel as chock full of details that Benjuna says show don't tell says you have to provide? It would be boring. Show don't tell does not mean you don't ever tell. This is why Benjuna's argument here is the pinnacle of what people who don't understand what show don't tell actually means. When is it okay to tell? Like, Susan furthers this idea of telling in her article as well. So let's go back to that. She had this to say. Your story is about Gina at 40, deciding whether or not to leave her boyfriend. Are you really going to spend half your story showing us Gina's white trash childhood in Elbridge, Michigan, a key bit of backstory? Or are you just going to cut to the chase, provide a few key details, and move on? Well, that depends. It all depends on how important that white trash upbringing is to the story. Is Gina wondering if she should break up with her boyfriend because he grew up better off than she did? Does she worry his family and friends won't accept her because of her upbringing? Even though she has come up out of that, she's very successful on her own. If that's the case, then yes, we should spend a lot of time in there because it's part of her insecurities. However, if we're writing a thriller, Gina's upbringing is why she became a spy, let's say, we're gonna want to dive into it. But it won't work spending half the novel going into it. Is telling that how we should provide that information. Can we show it in a way and move on? I think so. What if we show a photograph from Gina's childhood? It shows her and her family outside a rundown trailer wearing old clothes that are dirty, worn down, you name it. Just looking at that, we get this idea she grew up white trash, and we can move on. Now, if Susan would have just stopped there, I think she would have been fine, but she had to continue with this.
And hey, if you're feeling especially bold, you might even consider coming right out and telling us that Gina grew up white trash in Michigan. In the process, revealing your own voice as a writer. It can be scary, but goddammit, it can really save time, this telling thing.
Telling does not show an author's voice. There is so much more into describing your voice as an author than just adding telling to your prose. I'm sorry. And this goes into a bigger picture on Show Don't Tell, which goes back to Benjuna, which is gonna kind of blow your mind that I agree completely with Benjuna, regardless of what I've already said. The reason for this is I left a key part of her article out, and I did it on purpose. She had this to say.
The mark of a bad writer is that they have very little grasp on narrative structure, relevance, and the importance. They frequently don't understand pacing, setup, and even style. Good writers know what to tell, what to show, and when.
Benjuna is absolutely correct here. She is not stating that she believes this is what show don't tell actually means. No, she's providing a definition and examples of what people who don't understand what show don't tell actually means. When I originally did my research for this video, I missed that. And if I recorded that script, holy I would have been wrong.
I see you're following through on your quality promise. Good job.
Let's go back to my examples. So going back to my examples, which one is the better choice? Which one do you think would work better? The answer is
Both.
wait, confused? It all depends on which option you should go with. If we've seen Jack refusing to get out of bed multiple times already, we can probably just skip it. But if the circumstances have changed, let's say he doesn't want to get out of bed because of a broken heart, we may want to show it again. Dive deeper into why he doesn't want to get out of bed. The emotions of that heartbreak. Again, it goes back to what Benjuna was saying. A good writer knows what to show, what to tell, and
when.
which also shows the problem with show don't tell. And I believe Joshua Hankins, I feel acclaimed author Joshua Hankins describes it the best. He has this to say on his guest post on thewritersdigest.com. Do we need to know that a couch is a big brown torn vinyl couch? We're writing fiction, not constructing Mad Lib. Writers have been told to describe, and they do ad nauseum. This all comes back to us, more experienced writers-authors, when it comes to giving writing advice.
Specifically, show don't tell.
We suck. Show don't tell is a double-edged sword. We give this advice to new writers because, in general, they tell more than they show when they write. What do? As Joshua points out, they do so ad nauseum, describing pointless details. Now, did I say a double-edged sword? I meant a four-edged sword. Wait, do four-edged swords even exist? Oh, they do. Awesome. Show don't tell is something the author has to figure out what to show, what to tell, and when. They also have to figure out what will work for the story that they're trying to tell, though at the same time, someone will break that down saying it's terrible, it doesn't work, especially if it's not part of the norm. Why is that? Well, it's simple. It all comes down to the author's ability to write. If the author wants to have their main character shout, "No!" at the top of their lungs, that is their choice. But it doesn't mean they have the skill to pull it off. Which brings us back to Susan's whole thing on cartoony description of the pounding heart, the clenched fist, hot tears. Is she wrong? Not necessarily, because an author may not have the skill to make it work. And it's something we never talk about when it comes to show don't tell. Show don't tell all comes down to the ability of the author's skill and their experience. To get better at this, they have to continue to write and get feedback on their writing. So let's conclude this video. Is show don't tell bad advice?
No.
However, it is far too complex to simply phrase it the way we do. Show don't tell does not mean you never tell. As Benjuna cleverly pointed out, it's to know what to show, what to tell, and when. It's that simple. Unfortunately, we have made it way too hard. With that, that's all I have for you. Thank you for watching this video. Please comment down below your thoughts of this video. Let me know what your thoughts were on show don't tell. Do you agree it's good advice, or do you disagree?
Defend your view.
Also, answer the question of the video. What is one piece of common writing advice that someone has told you it's bad? If it's not on my list, I will add it, and in a future video, we will dive into to figure out if it's bad advice. Since you made it to the end of this video, please go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. I'm assuming you're enjoying it since you made it to the end of this video. It's also a great way to help support the Writer's Mindscape. Another awesome great way to support the Writer's Mindscape is to share this video on your social media. I promise,
I'm not gonna complain if you do.
if I see it, I'll like it. Since you are liking this video, I have tons of content on this channel and more to come. So why don't you go and hit that subscribe button? Nice! Ring the bell. Not that one, that one. You know the one I'm talking about. Awesome. You're awesome. Make sure you turn on all notifications so you know when all bad writing advice and other Writer's Mindscape content goes live. Thank you again so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed the rest of your day, and I'll chat with you in another video. Bye!